presenting on popular science or reader's advisory for, oh my god, science, for those of us who feel that way. So first off, of course, we have to have the definition. So popular science is science topics presented in a style, a format, and a degree of complexity that is really still accessible to the general population. Or good old Wikipedia has a nice little discussion of it. The goal of the genre is to capture the methods and accuracy of science, but to do so in a way that makes the language much more accessible. The other thing is that it's everywhere. Just everywhere. It's inundated in our lives, websites and blogs and podcasts, current events, coverage. We like to say that we're intimidated by science, but the truth is we're really fascinated by it, we're really opinionated about it, and we really like to educate ourselves about it. What's great for us as readers advisory practitioners is that means that there are connections with popular science to almost any reader, any other genre, any other style of writing that's out there. So you can bring popular science into all sorts of crossover opportunities. So why popular science? Historically, science writing has been big, of course, this is an essential major part of writing and publishing. The tradition of the celebrity scientist has been around for a very long time, go back to Newton and earlier. Popular is a focus on, modern focus on accessibility, and it aligns a little bit with the shift to talking about reading as the bettering yourself in a nonfiction focus to reading as a leisure activity with a fiction and genre focus. So let's talk about the subjects a little bit. Because one of the things you may run into with some popular science readers is that they have a little bit of a hang-up about which subjects are actually valid science subjects. It's not all readers. Some popular science readers, really anything that's amazing, that's wonderful to them. They want the amazing feeling. But some readers care about the subject matter, and they may have a little bit of this prejudice against something that feels like self-help instead of a science topic. Part of this comes from the colloquialisms we have around hard science and soft science. Hard sciences are connected to the natural sciences and quantitative research methods, and soft sciences are often equated with the social sciences and the qualitative research methods. So these subjects, what are they? Natural sciences. This is understanding natural phenomena. For some people, this is the science pure and simple. This is the real stuff. This is your chemistry and physics and earth sciences, biology, astronomy. The social sciences are understanding human relationships and society. And this is your sociology, anthropology, this is your psychology and archaeology. And then, of course, in popular science, you have all these related subjects. You've got your mathematics, your engineering, and your technology, and oh, so many, many, many subjects. Because the truth is, after all this focus on subject matter possibly mattering, for a lot of popular science readers, they're really omnivorous. Anything that's slightly sciencey, that captures their imagination, that's good reading material. So talk a little bit about the authors. Again, some readers, they really care that they are scientists and that they go into great depth in the subject and reliable and authoritative. Other readers, they might prefer the science journalists, partially because they run screaming if there's a formula or theorem in there anywhere. But of course, this is not to say that there aren't a lot of scientists that write beautifully as well. And by the way, if you can't read any of these and you want copies of any of these, I'll send these to anybody who wants them. Authors. It's all in my handout. I'm not going to pause here. So the focus on, is it real science? Is it not real science? Is it authors? Are they real scientists? And all of that comes a little bit to different understanding of what the appeal factors are with popular science. So for a lot of people, it's the experience of wonder. It's the did you know moments, which are like when you're reading at night and you're like elbowing your partner and the sigh, going, did you know, on every other page. For other readers, it's more about the pragmatic and the practical and the real. And it's about understanding the world and the place in it. And for some readers, it's about the challenge, challenging their mind, broadening their understanding of the world. And of course, you got all the regular appeal factors. You got your characters, your great minds and complex personalities. You've got your narrative and your story, your drama, adventure, and controversy. You've got your setting and your great exotic locations, outer space. I mean, how exotic can you get? Historic moments. And then a subject that we've already discussed a little bit. You can kind of think about this as the genre of the genre in some ways. And of course, beautiful writing. And yes, there's a lot of very beautiful writing. So let's get a few specifics. I put this one in here first, actually partially as a warning slide, because these are some classics of popular science. And they're very wonderful reads, but they're not for the new popular science reader at all. These are a little more challenging, a little more complex. You might have to have a little bit of previous experience in the area or previous understanding of the subject matter. But they will show up on all kinds of best of popular science lists and Goodreads lists and things like that. So if you're just doing a quick search in best of popular science, you're going to come across some of these, and these are not good immediate suggestions unless you know they have experience in the area. So, for instance, Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time has a reputation of being one of those bestsellers that everybody bought and then put on a shelf and never got through. Get Out, Escher, and Bach, it's won a Pulitzer Prize and a National Book Award. It's an amazing read, but it's not an easy read. I tried this summer my second attempt at Chaos, and it will take me a third attempt before I get through it. Michio Kaku is very well known for actually being a beautiful writer, but you really need some background in physics to fully get into his material. So where do you dip your toe in? You come in on some of these easier reads. They often include a bit of humor in them. There's lots of those did you know moments, that kind of curiosity experience in there. They often fall into multiple genres, so they cross over into history and biography and into self-help. But in some cases, the science isn't quite as rigorous as in other areas. So you've got Mary Roach up here at the top. My personal two favorites are Gulp and Packing for Mars. Malcolm Gladwell, you've got the Freakonomics books. Bill Bryson's A Short History of Nearly Everything. I almost hesitate to put this on here. It's a little bit names and dates heavy. But my mother, who is an avid mystery-only reader, listened to that on audiobook a few summers ago. And despite the fact that I had told her I've already read it, she did the did you know moment to me over and over again for a month on that book. Oliver Sacks is a little bit more dense, but his topic matter is really interesting. And hey, try out Chris Hadfield. Come on, he doesn't like us. Other good places to go. These are the great stories, the amazing characters. This is the mystery, intrigue, the thrills and chills, the geniuses, kooks, and cranks that are out there. There's lots of crossover appeal amongst these. The ghost map up here, Stephen Johnson, this is about the cholera epidemic in London in the 1880s and how they figured out what causes cholera and how it spread. Disappearing Spoon takes a look at the periodic table by the realm of madness and scientific obsession and the kind of incredible triumphs and just awful failures in the scientific world. I would maybe put The Emperor of All Maladies in here, which I'm sure we've heard quite a bit about recently. I also put Simon Singh in here. Any number of his books are really good in this area. I read Prometheus Enigma and really enjoyed it this summer. Connections, this is James Burke, who's well known for 1980s TV series by the same name, and he really makes connections across time, cultures, different scientists. This is tough, I wrote it as tough stuff done well. It's kind of the investigative science. So there's no special background needed to understand these, but they deal with controversial topics, moral conundrums in science, and they're very good, they're often related to current events, and they're very good for kind of the pragmatic reader. So my personal favorite in here is How We Die by Sherman Millen. I know it sounds a little bit morbid. It's an actually beautiful look at the process of dying and the practical aspects of it, and it's just very well written. It's getting a little bit out of date, because it's 1995, but a lot of the basics are still really in there. Bad pharma is a good one, looking at drug companies. Then, of course, you've got the religion and science debates going on here with Richard Dawkins, and then a more recent one, The Universe from Nothing. And then I put these two here on the end, Being Mortal and This Changes Everything. These are off bestsellers list right now. So this is a sense of the currentness of this kind of reading for a lot of people. Challenging and worth it. This is the area that kind of nudges up against deep science. These are complex ideas. There's slower reads, but they're still accessible. They appeal to the sense of wonder and the desire to be challenged. They are kind of, in some people think of the meat of the popular science realm, and they appeal to the reader who wants real science reads. In here, you've got Carl Sagan here, Billions and Billions is a great option. How It Began by Chris Indy. I didn't enjoy his attempts at creative writing, but I'm such a sucker for astronomy. It's a really good basic book at astronomy. Brian Greene, kind of the boundary edge of deep science in this here. And then if you can't do a brief history of time, try a briefer history of time. Have some fun. Seriously, this is not all serious stuff. You can read ridiculous things, you can roll your eyes, you can get creeped out, and you can read it on the beach. These are fun reads. You also might try graphic novels. They're not always the fun reads, but I had to put them somewhere. So we got a few graphic novels on the bottom here. Jim Audiobani is a big one to look for. He writes a lot of really interesting ones. Planet Apis is a great one about bees. Then if you want to do some other fun things, you got Bad Astronomy and Bad Science and Death from the Skies. It's kind of looking at the kind of failures and how we think about science or how scientists enact science. And then have a little fun with the technology of pure orgasm or cockroach papers to get icked out a little bit. I haven't read this one yet, but I really, really want to. Do Zombies Dream of Undead Sheep? Takes the zombie brain and analyzes it from a neurological point of view and actually applies science to what would cause that kind of stuff. Okay. It's not just books. Of all the different types of media that's out there, I would significantly recommend you take a listen to the podcast called Radio Lab. It's a really good way of getting into popular science. There's lots of crossover appeal in here. I've already mentioned the Ghost Map. There's Thunderstruck for mystery readers, for adventure readers. Surviving Polaris is surviving a volcanic explosion when you're a volcanologist, right up there in the middle of it all. History readers, already talked about James Burke and Simon Singh. Biography, try Mr. Fenneman, Surely You're Joking, kind of a funny look. Naturalist by Edward O. Wilson also crosses over into literary appeal. For biography, a lot of nature writing, very popular in literary appeal. And finally, just to highlight a couple of my resources that are on there, the Introduction to Popular Science Resources from Wellcome Library nicely has all laid out different relevant awards that could be useful to you. And Integrated Advisory Services covers different formats and different genres in a very nice way. So you get a lot of pieces in one place. And last of all, my recommendations immediately. Please go and pick these up right now. Y'all know, you've all heard about The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, The Emperor of All Melodies, and if you like an irreverent look at some of science and astronomy, try Packing for Mars by